Welcome into the Sun Devil Source 2-minute drill. I'm Ethan Ryder, joined by Chris Cartman. We've watched 3 bowl practices now. There's going to be a couple more before they take a break for Christmas and reconvene afterwards in Las Vegas for their bowl game. But we already have a pretty good sense of what the offense is going to look like heading into that game. The biggest question mark is going to be in the backfield and, of course, the offensive line blocking for him. So what do we know about the offensive side of the ball?
Right, so Rashad White's not going to play in the bowl game. He's headed out to prepare for the NFL Combine in his professional career. We also know that Diamante Traynham has entered the transfer portal. He's taking visits to other schools. He hasn't practiced. Looks like he will not participate for ASU. And that leaves one other scholarship player at the position, and Daniel Ngata, a freshman who hasn't really received a lot of carries this year, but he's highly regarded, and he said that he's up for the task. Knows that it'll be a conditioning issue, Ethan, but he's preparing for that type of a workload, and Sean Aguano said he thinks he's ready for it. Of course, as you mentioned, in the offensive line, you have Donovan West not playing in the bowl game due to a thumb injury that he had surgery on. That means that Ben Scott is going to be moving from right tackle to center. The positive development for ASU is that Henry Hattis started to practice today, and so he's trending toward potentially being able to play in that bowl game. If he's able to not have any setbacks, he could play at right guard. If he doesn't, then Jarrett Bell could plug in at right guard. Bell is also an option as a backup at center, and Spencer Lovell will be at right tackle. Elsewhere at wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, it looks like everything is pretty much status quo for ASU.
Yeah, and on the defensive side of the ball, a couple players have opted out, a couple players have opted into playing. What are we seeing heading into the bowl game for that side of the ball?
Right, so the good news is that Tyler Johnson and DJ Davidson have both decided to play for ASU. They're very excited about kind of where their defensive line is at. The question mark, really biggest area, is in the secondary, and in particular, it's their cornerback situation, because Chase Lucas and Jack Jones are both not going to play. They're heading on to prepare for the NFL draft. Evan Fields looks like he's not going to play at safety, so they're going to have some backups. They're going to have to rely on Tamarcus Davis quite heavily. Somebody else who hasn't played a lot is going to have to start at that other side in base downs. That could be Keon Markham, maybe Jordan Clark. Of course, Jordan Clark plays a lot of nickel, Mason Williams as well. So we're going to get a sense. Ed Woods potentially is another possibility. And then at linebacker, Darian Butler has not practiced. He's in the East-West Shrine Bowl, so it looks like his career is likely over at ASU. He didn't play in the last 2 games due to a concussion, and so Eric Gentry is going to start, but along with 2 longtime starters in Kyle Soley and Merlin Robertson.
Yeah, and we talked to Herm Edwards on Tuesday. He said the team's most likely going to look a lot different come next season. What are kind of the outlook for this team? What are the biggest strengths, and what are kind of the question marks heading into that season?
Right, so I would say that they've held on to a lot of their younger players to this point, maybe even a little bit better than I had anticipated. They did have some guys enter the transfer portal and leave. Tommy Hill, the highest profile from a recruiting standpoint, in addition to Traynham. And so those are question marks. Their secondary, their running back situation. They don't have a lot of depth returning. They did sign Tevin White at running back. They signed Derek Smith from Illinois as a secondary guy who's been in the college game for several years. I think those are sort of question marks for them moving forward. Also, when you lose DJ Davidson, you only have TJ Pesafea. Nose tackles, a little bit of an issue. And then offensive line, because they'll lose Kellen Deesh and Henry Hattis. And we'll see what happens with Donovan West, whether or not he elects to return to ASU for another season or go pro. They're going to have to get some additional Division I transfers, maybe junior college players, over the next couple of months, maybe building on even into the spring, in order to be able to tighten up where they have some of those question marks.
There's still a lot of excitement heading into the bowl game against Wisconsin on December 30th in Las Vegas. But for now, that's Chris Cartman. I'm Ethan Ryder. Or I should say, make sure to stay tuned into all of our content heading into that as well. But for now, that's Chris Cartman. I'm Ethan Ryder, and that was a Sun Devil Source 2-minute drill.